Let's begin our third Senate meeting. I don't have a gavel, sorry, so we'll just get started with my voice. There it is. All right, officially. Third Senate meeting is officially open. Let's do the campus sound checks to make sure we haven't lost anything in the meantime. Polytechnic. Igor, are you hearing us all right?
Yes, we can hear you quite well.
Thank you.
We are good.
Elsie in Tempe?
Yes, and we can hear you fine.
Great. And Alejandra at West?
Okay, hold on. Okay, can you hear, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can, but this indicated to me that I need to give it a little time for you to unmute. Is that correct?
It took me a little bit longer than I thought.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get it. Yeah, but give me a little bit of time.
We'll now go to the quorum calculation, which is a quorum is 50% plus one of all senators. If you don't mind verifying your quorum count by entering the indicate the number or the letter on the clicker screen to indicate your campus, and then I'll call on each campus to verify that the number that is on the screen is correct. The downtown is A. And can you see the screen? I cannot read it from here. Can you read the numbers on the screen?
It's not up yet.
That's not up yet.
There's been 71 responses.
Matthew, this is Chuck. I think we're about ready to close the poll if you're ready.
Sure.
Okay, I think we're ready, yes.
Hold on, we have one more person to vote here in
Okay.
Tempe.
All right. So downtown, is that correct for us?
Okay, I'll read them to you. It's downtown 15, Polytechnic 9, Tempe 47, and 6 at West.
All right, would the campus presidents verify that number? 15 is correct here?
We're 13 actually, but I think maybe some of them got doubled. Yeah. Because we're only 13.
We're actually 13 here?
Yeah. 1, 2.
I have 12.
Yeah, I think we have 12.
Polytechnic is correct.
Thank you. What about West?
We're correct. We're 6
Okay.
here.
Maybe because of this one, it's not showing anything.
Yeah, it could be the screen's just out, yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming that Tempe's all right?
Yes, the Tempe number looks close.
Good. Okay, now let's triangulate those results to make sure. Let's do a campus-wide vote. And here's your question. Chuck will get that up on the screen. How many electoral votes does Arizona have in the 2016 presidential election? I guess people are going to Google real quickly. Chuck, tell me when we got.
Kathy,
Yes.
for all camp, this is Chuck. Just a reminder, if someone votes incorrectly, they just can vote again, and the last vote will count. So if you made a mistake, just vote a second time.
Okay, very good.
All right, I'm going to close the poll if it's good with you.
All right, let's see what our civics knowledge is. Okay, the correct answer is 11 votes, 11 electoral votes. It looks like we're all across the spectrum. It's actually every state gets the votes for each state is equal to the sum of its number of senators and its number of representatives combined. So Arizona is about like Tennessee and some of the other places in population, but not as much as New York, which I think was in the 20s. As a reminder, if we experience any technical issues, there will be a 10-minute recess. If we lose video-only connection, we will continue, but if we lose audio and cannot restore in 10 minutes, then the meeting will be canceled. And I'd like to remind senators and speakers in Tempe that when you're speaking to use the microphone so that you could be heard on the other campuses. And if all senators would senators would mute their mics in the other locations unless speaking to the entire persons. Senate and persons who are addressing from the floor should state their names so that we have that for the record. Our first speaker today is in the informational reports, and we all had information from Dr. Crow last week regarding retention, and Fred Corey, Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, will be telling us what we have going on in terms of helping students succeed here. And I thank you very much because I know you're also going to class right after this. So if you would like to just come up here.
What? Oh, okay.
Yes, that way we could, you have a straight shot into the camera.
Beautiful. I really do want to thank all of you for inviting me to the Senate to talk about the retention, persistence, and graduation rates of our undergraduate students. We have seen an extraordinary cultural shift here at ASU where we are really, really beginning to pay some serious attention to our undergraduate students. We've done a few things over the past, I guess, going on 9 years. And some of the most important things that we've done is that we've really worked together on those major maps. It's a whole system that we call eAdvisor. But we have mapped out for our students exactly what it takes for them to get a degree. We don't have any hidden prerequisites. We don't put any 11th hour surprises in for our students. And that has been an extraordinary effort on the part of all faculty to come together once a year and say exactly what courses are required for this major. And now we now have 411 major maps. So that would be each degree plan and its concentration. This is a huge amount of work on the part of you and your staff, and it's been a great boom. People throughout the country are looking at these maps saying that's really extraordinary. We're not dealing with PDF check sheets. We're dealing with live major maps that show students exactly what they need to take to graduate. The second component of that is that we actually offer the courses that are on the map. That gets to be a showstopper for some people throughout the country. They say, "Are you serious?" And we say, "Absolutely, we're serious." If there's a course on a major map that is required for that student, we teach it. We actually may not be at the time the student wants, but we will offer it, and no student is ever delayed in graduation because we're not offering a course that that student needs to graduate. So for that, I think we owe ourselves a huge pat on the back, a huge thank you. That has been an extraordinary accomplishment. We've also used what we call the critical courses, where students can't put off courses that are critical to the major or diagnostic of success in that major until some unforeseen time. So I'm looking at criminology here, that students who are in criminology actually have to take Criminology 100 during their first semester. This actually is a big change for our students. It helps them find out if they like it. If a student fails CRJ 100 2 times in a row, really, is that student in the right major, or could we find a better fit? And so as a group, we've decided that perhaps it's time to sit down with that student and help that student make a better choice. And so that's been great too. We have moved away from the concept of the pre-major, and that's also been wonderful. We used to have a whole culture of you're out of the major until you're in. And we turned that on its head and said, no, actually you're in the major until you're out. You are in the major until you have not met the benchmarks you need for that major. And then if you don't make the benchmarks, then we have to help you select a new major. But that's very different from taking hundreds or actually thousands of students, bringing them up to a point and saying, now we're going to have a review to see if you can continue in that major. It's really a much more moral approach, if you will, to say to students, you are in this major until you have failed the benchmarks, and at that point, we're here to help you. Another thing we've done beyond all the eAdvisor tools is that we've created these residential communities. Throughout all of our campuses, we have created these living, learning communities, and we've invited our students to become a part of that. At a very pragmatic level, honestly, it helps us find the students. In the old days, we would actually have a hard time finding our own students in the residential communities or in what we used to call dormitories. But we've worked very closely with Jennifer Hightower and her team. Your colleges have been extremely helpful. Now, on every single floor in one of our residential communities, we have representatives from housing, we have representatives from your dean's office who actually work with the students on a regular basis to help those students feel connected to the university. And that's made an important contribution to our retention rate. We've created the First Year Success Coaching Program where the coaches are there to help students deal with issues that don't fit any one category, that they just sort of slip through the cracks. And so the coaches are there to help the students with all of that. We've reached about 83.6% retention rate. We need to get to 90%. So now the question is, what are the steps we're going to take to move us to that next level? We can't just do more of the same. We have to keep doing what we have been doing, but we have to start doing some more things. And so one of the goals that we've set out is to embark upon this whole journey of predictive analytics, is that how do we know at the earliest possible moment when a student is showing signs of not succeeding? So what is the earliest sign, and what is the intervention that will work for that particular student at that particular time to help that student move forward? Right now, we still, and I'm not saying we're going to stop doing it, we engage in this, we wait and see. Did the student register? So on November 7th is when registration for spring ends. We're going to wait and make sure that the students have registered, and then we start calling the students who have not registered. Well, and that's fine. We need to continue doing that. But here's the question. What was an earlier sign that that student was not going to be registering for the spring semester? And what would have been an intervention that would have been helpful to help that student move forward? We know that sometimes students make that decision in the first week, maybe 2 weeks at most. It's like, look, I'm here for the fall, but I'm not going to be here in the spring. All right, and they don't come forward and just tell us that. So what are the behavioral signs? And I think this is where we can all participate in this really extraordinary project that is gathering this national attention. What can we do? So we know there are some things that maybe we can't control, like the heat. We can't turn down the temperature in the valley, but we can talk with students about the heat. We can talk about what we do. It impacts us, same as them. We can talk about feeling disenfranchised. We can talk about feelings of loneliness. We can do things that will engage the students directly. Our students are here, they're, I think we know from our classes, they really like the material that they're studying. They're interested in the class, and so are they interested in some of our clubs and organizations? Might they want to join the Spanish club? Might they want to join some of the groups within our colleges? And what can we do as faculty when we're dealing with these freshmen who are, don't forget, they're 17 years old, they're 18 years old. They're arriving here. They're afraid. They might be acting confident, but they're not. It's a very, very scary place to be, 18 years old. What can we do as individual faculty to reach out to the students to say, hey, maybe you would be interested in participating in the theater productions. Maybe you should get involved in some of our student groups. I see that you're interested in women's studies. Did you know there are some groups that are involved in the sustained careful work with women in our communities that might interest you, so that if we could help these students get engaged. Now, we're going to be using some of our predictive analytics to see if we can help figure out exactly what's going to work when. But I think that we can all participate in our daily practice of teaching to reach out to students. And I do know, I'm teaching Communication 100 right now. It is so easy for me as a teacher to work with the A students. We all love working with the A students and working with the students who are engaged. But what do we do with the students who are so very silent, who might come to class, might not come to class, don't really say much. It's hard to figure out who they are or what they're thinking. How do I, as a teacher, reach out and say, how is everything going? Is the material talking to you? Do you feel engaged? Is there anything I can do that will improve the quality of this experience? I think that's sort of the collective mission that we're all on. It's hard to do. I can testify. I think most of us naturally tend to be a little bit shy ourselves. That it's just part of the personality that brought us through grad school, is that we can have a little bit of communication reticence on our own. So maybe we need to recognize that and reach out to our students and say, come talk to me. Maybe we could just sit outside at a table outside of the classroom after class and talk about some of the materials, and we can learn pretty extraordinary things. The academic status reports are hugely important, and we're trying to get a better system. We have the system we have right now. It is not as flexible as you would like it to be. We've heard you loud and clear that we want a system that is available any day during the semester. We would like a system that is good for kudos as well as I see a sign of trouble here. We know we want all of that, and we are working on it. But right now, here today, we just have the academic status report system that we have. Many of you participated in the early system because we believe that in our ASU 101 classes, by whatever title you give it in your college, we know that those are not particularly difficult courses, right, intellectually. I mean, there's nothing in those courses that is intellectually challenging. It's about, here you are at ASU, here's how you manage your time, here are some of the issues you're going to come up against, here's how you manage stress, here's how you communicate with your professors. Attendance is actually a huge indicator of academic success. So the grade is based on attendance, to be kind of blunt, and that if the student is not attending, then we think maybe the student has already checked out. So we did the early academic status report in week 1, the early, and week 2 for all of our ASU 101 courses and to our English composition courses. Thank you to all of our English composition teachers, not only for doing the extraordinary work you're doing in the areas of rhetoric and composition, but also for helping our students understand why it is so very, very important to come to class and participate in the activities. So we're seeing this year if we can do an early intervention on that, see if it works, see what works, to see what types of interventions work. You know, our students are tired of the emails and the phone calls, so what other strategies can we use? We're doing visits in our residential communities. We're doing outreach verbally with our students to see if we can communicate with them in more direct, innovative ways that are actually more contemporary than some of the strategies we've tried in the past. It's a very exciting project that we're taking. We will get to 90. I don't know how, but I do know that we have a provost who's remarkably impatient and is bringing us there to go very quickly.
So I'd like to know if there are any questions. I'm going to start with downtown because you have these folks in front of you. Any questions? Yes, please. And state your name aloud, please.
Lisa Bienenstock, Public Affairs. The one question I have is, you talked about programs where faculty might intervene. Do you have any peer-to-peer type of programs in the makings? Because often it's students, when they first enter college, are not really prepared for the high school-college shift, not really sure how to do it, and telling them what to do sometimes doesn't work as well as peer outreach. So I was just wondering if there's any peer programs that you've got planned.
Yes, the question is, do we have peer programs that are designed to help students talking to students about what's going on? And that is the basis of our first-year success coaches. So Maricel Herrera, who you may know from her days in the College of Public Service and Community Solutions, leads the university-wide program in first-year success coaches. These are really wonderful students. It's a great program where we hire students who are coaches and they conduct outreach. They call all of our students and see, just say, how's it going? What can I do to help you? Many of the colleges, including yours, have peer programs based out of Dean Capel's office that also reach out and try to contact students. So yes, peer-to-peer is very important, and yes, we believe they're very effective.
Anybody else here in downtown? Okay, let me move to West. Do you have any questions of Dr. Corey?
Yes, we actually have two questions. So Barbara is going to ask one, and then I'll have a question. Go ahead, Barbara.
I wanted to know about the academic status reports and why the reporting time is so short. I think there was only 2 days this last time where professors could let a student get a warning to fill that out online. And I'm wondering if it can't be extended. So, for example, if a professor's gone to a conference and that little window just closes, and then you go to do the academic status report, and it won't accept it because it's past the deadline date. So I'm wondering if that period of time that window can't be open wider.
So we can take our calendar back and review it very carefully with that in mind. You must be talking about a session A or B session where it's the 7.5 weeks, because for session C, it's open for a week. But A and B...
I was doing for session B, and I only had 2 days to get it done, and I didn't get to it right away because I was gone, and then when I went to do it, it wouldn't let me do it.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take that back and review these the reporting period times with my group to take that under consideration.
Okay, and then this is me, Alejandra Lenes. So I'm president of the West Campus Senate. And I've heard a lot of times about this discussion that students who don't show up to the Uni 101 is an indicator that, sorry, there was some feedback. That is an indicator that they might not be interested in, well, an 18-year-old should be responsible for their education. Sometimes, and I know a case, one student with this was the case, they didn't know that it was a real class. They thought it was one of those orientation seminars that they only had to go one time, and then they didn't know about they were going to fail the class until they had failed the class. So they were not told immediately, if you don't come to this class, you're going to fail. And the problem is that then it takes them out of the major map, and that causes some problems on the road in terms of what classes they can take. Because, I mean, granted, yeah, they should have known better to show up to class, but they didn't. And these are 2-year-olds, they're just first time in college, and they sometimes not make the best decision.
Correct. I think there's two elements to your question. The first is recognizing that 3 months ago, these students were in high school. Not all of them are yet fully grown adults, and not all of them are capable of making adult decisions, and that as a community, we are here to guide them into making adult decisions. And part of that is reading the syllabus and understanding the rules or the guidelines that are put forth in each course. And to that second point, you know, the syllabi that we create, sometimes we just put so much information in there, and it's so dense that, you know, could we do a better job of communicating to our students when attendance is necessary, what points will be subtracted, what can be undone and what can't be undone, without, I don't know, sometimes, and I've done this sometimes myself, it feels like the syllabus is just this defense mechanism. It's like, well, I put everything in there so that I could say, well, it was in the syllabus. But what can we do to improve the way we communicate to students what is important and when attendance will count and when the lack of attendance will actually do damage to the grade that cannot be made up with extra credit at the 11th hour.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go to Tempe now. Are there, Elsie, do you have anybody asking any questions at the microphones?
Yes, there's one person coming to the microphone now.
Hello, Dave Kaufman, Biomedical Informatics. You may have answered the first part. Do you survey your students? And the second question is, would it be useful to get them, say, to prompt them to do a little narrative, maybe in Blackboard? So basically, early in, maybe a month into the semester, just to elicit their thoughts and see what you can learn from that.
So we do survey the students with our annual service survey. Every January, February, we have this elaborate survey that goes out to our students with response rate in the neighborhood of 10,000, which is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And it does help us understand where the students are satisfied and where we need to do some work. The e-portfolios that are unfolding are a great way for students to tell their stories. I'm a firm believer in the power of narrative and that we can help our students shape those narratives through the portfolio project. Our English composition teachers have embraced the portfolios tremendously, and so in all of our classes, we could ask students if they have started a portfolio and how we can encourage students to tell the story of their personal lives, their professional lives. It's a nice integration there of the personal and the professional and the imaginary, if you will, to imagine the future through the use of the portfolio narrative. So there's tremendous potential there.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions in Tempe?
There are no more questions in Tempe.
Thank you, Elsie. Polytechnic, Igor?
We don't have questions at this time.
Okay. Fred, I know you have to go to class, but I do want you to know you had a shout-out at the Pac-12 Academic Leadership Coalition for your wonderful YouTube video on office hours.
Oh, great.
You are now a star, so we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We now have Maria Hesse, who will continue this narrative about student success and student support with speaking about Transfer Matters. And we've actually had some senators who've been working on that last year. Chuck, are you set up for that?
Yes, we're here. Maria's ready.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Puckett and members of the Senate, thanks so much for having me for a brief update report on ASU's Transfer Matters project. I'll start the slideshow here. So I think that's at the end of it.
Yeah. Good place to start.
Yes, so our goal with this project was and continues to be, is that better? Louder. Pull it forward here. So our goal was and continues to be to improve transfer student success. ASU had more than 15,000 new transfer students last year alone. So it's important that we recognize that not all of our new students come to us as freshmen. In the summer of 2015, we contracted with the Garner Institute. John Gardner is a former faculty member from the University of South Carolina, who now runs a consulting firm in North Carolina. We contracted with them to use their Foundations of Excellence model. We had heard from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, who had used this particular model to examine their first-year experience. that they were pleased with the consulting work that had been provided, and so we decided to use the Gardner model as well. We proceeded to form an executive committee for the project that included 2 vice provosts, myself and Fred Corey, and 1 representative from each of the 3 liberal arts and sciences colleges who would be involved. So Dwayne Rowan from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts, Paul Lepore from the College of Arts and Sciences, and Todd Sandrin from New College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences joined us as kind of the formation committee to get this project off the ground. In July of 2015, we sent a team of 13 ASU representatives along with 2 colleagues from the Maricopa Community Colleges to the Garner Institute for Training. At that time, although we were fond of the Foundations of Excellence model, we decided that we would specifically name the project Transfer Matters. In August of 2015, we came back to the university and we invited a broad variety of people to be on 9 dimension committees, each of which took a sliver of the transfer puzzle and was going to be asked to analyze how ASU did on that particular element of transfer. And we identified potential leaders for each of those 9 committees. In September, then, we held a meeting of what we called the steering committee. That committee included those of us who agreed to provide oversight for the project, along with each individual who was either chairing, co-chairing, or facilitating one of the 9 dimension committees. We also included a couple of other folks who were helping us with gathering data or distributing surveys or handling other logistics for the project. Back in October, we held a kickoff event. We had that one at ASU West. We had about 150 people, ASU employees, faculty members, community college employees, and some transfer students attend the big kickoff event to kind of orient them to this model of self-analysis and reflection. And also on that same date, we held the first committee meetings for the project. During the course of the fall, we continued to build momentum on the project. We completed the necessary elements of the Garner model, which included their current practices inventory. That's all of your university's practices and policies related to transfer students. We completed both the student surveys using the Garner Institute surveys and the faculty and staff surveys. While we were allowed to do minor modifications, adding a question or 2, they specifically want you to use their survey instruments so that you can compare your university's results with the results from other universities around the country to see how you feel you're doing. Meanwhile, each committee continued to meet during the months of October, November, December to get a plan for approaching the analysis of their particular dimension. Each member of each committee had access to all of the survey results, the current practices inventory, and other institutional data that had been collected about our transfer students. We also had a number of ASU faculty and staff who chose to participate in webinars that the Garner Institute put on, along with other colleges and universities who were going through this process so that they could hear how other colleges and universities were approaching this and get advice from our consultants. Mid-year, as committees continued to do their work, we did a mid-year recharge. We held this particular event at ASU's downtown campus on January 8th. We had our consultant, John Gardner, come into town. He addressed the group, and then we had each of the 9 committees report out to the rest of us so that we would hear where they were at in their process. What were some of their initial findings about the particular element that they were looking at? As we entered the spring semester, it was really a sprint to try to meet our deadlines. Each Dimension committee continued collecting evidence related to their particular area of focus. Some of them called peer institutions around the country to find out how they were dealing with these matters. Some of them convened student focus groups. Some of them went into a deeper analysis of our current practices and policies. Others wanted to learn more about existing programs, both at the university and at community colleges with whom we partner. And there were lots of variations on the theme with lots of other individual work by these committees. By March, early drafts of their reports were submitted back to John Gardner, our consultant, and he then provided the committee with thoughts and comments and just ideas for their consideration. As we entered the home stretch in April, each Dimension committee finalized their reports and recommendations. We have a huge binder of about 5 inches in depth that has a copy of each committee's report. And then on May 6th, we gathered at the Polytechnic campus to wrap up the project. And at that particular meeting, we wanted to do 2 things. We wanted to be able to share with people the major recommendations that were being made by each separate committee and get a sense by everybody who had been involved in this year-long analysis and reflection process on which recommendations that they saw around the room did they feel would most positively impact transfer student success. And so we did an affinity exercise where they used their dots to kind of tell us which items they felt would most positively impact transfer student success. We also took a moment to thank and acknowledge those people who had assumed leadership roles in the project. So you may wonder at this point, what happens now at this stage? Well, this summer, the executive committee, Fred Corey, myself, Dwayne Rowan, Paul Lepore, and Todd Sandrin, consolidated the committee reports and the feedback received at that final meeting by everybody who had been involved into a final report and action plan that's fairly succinct. It's about 15 pages in length. In September, the provost reviewed that report, and Provost Searle asked that we subsequently add more specific data and specific target goals to be reached as a result of any of these interventions or suggestions that were being made. And so we have done that. Fred Corey and I will soon be presenting the final report and the action plan to the Dean's Council. But in the meantime, we have begun implementation of some of the prioritized items on the action plan and final report per Provost's direction, and we've made some pretty good progress so far on a couple of those items. So with that, I would be glad to take questions you may have, but I do also want to thank you for the help and support that many faculty members provided on each of those 9 Dimension committees. We really appreciate the effort that you put into this project.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Since you're presenting there at Tempe, are there any questions that are coming forward from the Tempe Faculty Senate?
It doesn't look like it here in Tempe.
Okay, very good. All right. Polytechnic, does your group have any questions?
Straightforward. No questions here.
Okay, thank you. West, any questions from West?
No questions
Thank you.
here.
And downtown, any questions or comments? I know, Kristen, you worked on the report. So.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you, Maria. That was a very helpful
Thank
update.
you, Kristen.
Okay.
We appreciated all your good work. Kristen headed the faculty committee for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Maria, for coming and for updating us on this. I know that many of our campuses have transfer students. It's a big job to get them feeling acclimated and successful, and we appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll hear from our provost.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Fred, for your contributions. I only had a brief comment I wanted to make, which was two parts. First was to thank all the faculty who continue to be critical to the success we're having in improving our student success. All of this is a reflection of what goes on between you and the student in the classroom, out of the classroom, and that dynamic is absolutely critical to the institution's success. So kudos to all of our colleagues who contribute to that, and there's over 3,400 faculty here, and so they're all essential to that success story. And in that regard, I wanted to let you know that we are adding, or trying to add to our faculty complement. We have this year approved 209 tenure track positions to be searched for during the current year that are underway, and another 97 non-tenure track positions to be searched for. That's 306 positions for which we are looking to fill this academic year. So if you're not on a search committee, it's hard to believe. But I just wanted to share that. I think it's a good news story. Very few institutions are growing and creating opportunities for faculty, and we think that it's essential for us to continue to do that. You've heard Michael on a number of occasions refer to the fact that we could definitely have more faculty, and that's true. We probably think that on the tenure track side alone, we probably need ideally another 250 to 300 faculty, and that's with the current enrollment of students, and certainly on the non-tenure track, we expect to continue to grow as they perform incredibly important parts of delivering the education that is part of Arizona State University. So with that, that's all I have today. Any questions?
Any questions from downtown? Let's start with you. Any questions for Provost Searle? Okay. West, any questions for Provost Searle?
No, we don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay. Polytechnic, any questions?
No questions.
And Tempe?
No questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're ready for the section of the meeting of the chair's report. Our Senator Spotlight for the month of October is Kristen Hoffner from Exercise Science and Health Promotion. She's been a senator from kinesiology from 2010 to 2013 and is currently the past president of the downtown campus. Regarding her Senate leadership experience, she wrote that it has opened her eyes to all of the things that are happening behind the scenes to make Arizona State a leading university, and allowed her to gain insight into the perspectives of administrators and other faculty members. Last year, she served on the Transfer Matters Steering Committee that we heard from, and congratulations to Kristen and her family who are expecting a child soon, December. Thank you. Our September Spotlight member was Keith Hollinger from the College of Integrative Arts and Sciences Social Sciences program on the Polytechnic campus. Keith's research on the intersection of peace, conflict, and development, and in finding ethical solutions to post-conflict development dilemmas that may result in resilient and sustainable communities. And so because of that, hence his interest in our Senate. Keith is the past president of the Polytechnic Campus Senate. I have just returned from the Pac-12 Academic Leadership Coalition that was held October 28th through the 30th in Boulder, Colorado. The mission of the Pac-12 Academic Leadership Coalition is to improve the effectiveness and responsiveness of each member school's shared governance, and where commonalities occur to facilitate academic and research cooperation that is jointly benefiting to the participating institutions. Charles Barbie, who served this coalition as executive director since 2014, Helene Osipov, vice president and the ASU member at large of the coalition, and I, as current Senate president, represented ASU. We elected new officers at the meeting. Bill Johnson from the University of Utah, President Zoe Barsness from the University of Washington, President-elect, Maddie Orritt from the University of Utah, Executive Director, Nancy Bradshaw, University of Washington, Secretary, and Ruben Davila, University of Southern California, the Treasurer. The members of the coalition are working proactively to facilitate communication between the schools and to share information on topics of concern with a face-to-face forum and to develop resource database to help emergent issues and best practices in a timely and efficient way. The Pac-12 ALC member schools mirror the membership of the Pac-12 Athletic Conference with Senate leaders from ASU, U of A, Oregon State, University of Oregon, University of Colorado Boulder, University of Southern California, University of Utah, UCLA, Berkeley, University of Washington, and Washington State. Stanford has not joined us yet, but may a little bit later on. In ABOR news, the Arizona Board of Regents will be meeting in Tucson November 16th through the 18th. Attending will be Shirley Rose from Tempe, Brenda Hosley from downtown, Chris Kaiselka from Polytechnic, and as a UAC Secretary, and myself as the UAC Chair and Chair of the Arizona Facilities Council, which has a seat at the table at ABOR. Eileen Klein, the ABOR President, is encouraging a more active role in the Arizona Faculties Council in activities of the Board of Regents and their meetings. Two initiatives of the Academic and Student Affairs Committee of ABOR are to design a framework for assessing quality for the 3 state universities and to develop review series that analyzes the essential elements of the general education program, which could become quite a job. The faculty at ASU are represented in this endeavor through the provost office, and I listen in regularly on their meetings, but the faculty is also represented through this seat at ABOR, held by the AFC, which is this year held by ASU. The ABOR committees and activities and reports will be posted on their website 10 days prior to that meeting. So I invite you to review these reports and to funnel any faculty concerns that could potentially impact all 3 universities to me so that I can at least express the faculty perspective. I think looking at quality indicators is going to be quite, could be a bit controversial and could be quite an onerous task. We all have quality indicators within our own units, but getting some for the university at large is something that absolutely needs a faculty perspective, or it could go in a direction that isn't conducive to the way teaching and learning occurs. The other thing that we're taking a look at is the general studies throughout ABOR, and we have our General Studies Council. So any of you who are familiar with general studies, if you have any thoughts or perspectives to share with me, I would really appreciate that. Elections are coming up, not just the presidential election. The president-elect of the University Academic Council will be elected after the November 14th UAC meeting, not November 8th as what's coming up, or November 28th as was told in some of the some of our news reports. Nominations for president-elect come from within the current UAC, which is the presidential line for each campus. But it is not too early to begin recruiting people for next year's campus president-elect positions. Please consider putting your name forward to the Committee on Committees or encouraging others that you feel have leadership potential to serve on campus as a campus president or in the Senate. The elections for campus president-elects and chairs will be held in the spring. Forgive me, I think I've gotten to the end of my voice. I got a bit of a cold from Colorado. One final note, senators who've been actively engaged with good attendance will be receiving service recognition letter addressed to the chair and director of their unit. This letter will be issued before the end of the year in time for annual review packets. And finally, I would like to repeat the recognition that Mike Mokwa received at the homecoming football game for his work with ASU Tillman Scholars. I want to thank him. Thank you, Michael, for the work that you do for the university and for the Senate. That's my chair's report for today. And we are now ready for new business. Caroline Harrison, Chair of CAPC, will now present the first read of the CAPC motion.
The following motions will be discussed at the upcoming CAPC meeting on Thursday, November 3rd. For any of these new business proposals, if you have any comments or questions, please get them to me no later than the next Senate meeting, which is November 28th, but preferably get them to me before the CAPC meeting so we can discuss them there. The proposals we'll be discussing are request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences for the establishment of a new academic unit, the School of Civic and Economic Thought and Leadership. Request from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Integrative Social Science. A request from the College of Public Service and Community Solutions, School of Community Resources and Development for the establishment of a graduate degree, Master of Sustainable Tourism in Sustainable Tourism. Request from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, Dean's Office, for the establishment of a graduate degree, an MS in Business Journalism. Request from the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts, Dean's Office, for the disestablishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in Design Studies. And a request from the New College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in Social Justice and Human Rights. We will also be discussing the items in Appendix A. If you have any questions or comments on those, please get those to me before the CAPC meeting on Thursday, as those will not be coming up again in the Senate meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. New course proposal, consent agenda, Senate Motion 2017-08, new courses, were sent to senators electronically on October 18th. We're offering these courses for approval as a consent agenda. Before we take a vote, are there any courses that any senator would like to remove from the consent agenda? And I'll start here first with downtown. Any courses to remove? Seeing none. Polytechnic?
None.
None. West?
Yes.
Yes, we do have some.
Okay.
So what's the process? Does she say which courses or?
Yes, please. Yes,
about it.
Tell us which courses you'd like to remove from the consent agenda.
Basically, all of the courses that have a CAP prefix. There are 12 of them or something like that.
Could you read them aloud, please, for me?
Sure. Just a minute, I wasn't expecting
Just the prefix and the number. Just the prefix and the number.
Okay.
Will work.
All right. Okay, CAP 120, CAP 220, CAP 240, CAP 260, CAP 310, CAP 315, CAP 320, CAP 325, CAP 330, CAP 340, CAP 342, CAP 400, CAP 420, CAP 440, and CAP 484.
Okay. Those are how many courses are those now? 15 courses, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we will take a vote on the consent agenda minus those 15 courses, and then we will discuss those courses and take a vote on that. Chuck, is this giving you enough time to get some logical words on the motion?
Yeah, stand by just for about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Kathy, just to clarify, I have the question ready, but it is, you had mentioned Senate Motion 2017-08, and it's actually 2017-15 minus the CAP prefixes.
Sorry. My notes were duplicated. I do have 17-15.
Okay, so are you ready to open the question now?
Yes, ready to open the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We need to see the question.
And Tempe is waiting to respond to your new course proposal question.
You asked Polly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not ask any of the others. Thank you. Let's see, I was at West. Polytechnic, do you have any to remove from this course proposal?
Oops. No, we didn't.
Okay, and Tempe, do you have any to remove?
We do not.
Downtown, do we have any to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, thank you. So now we can proceed with the vote on motion 2017-15.
Sorry about the small font there.
And can you read the small font for us,
It
please?
says, do you approve Senate Motion 2017-15 new course proposal minus the CAP courses that are noted in the minutes?
Okay. All right, so we're ready for a vote. This is for the courses that remain, not the ones that were removed. Is your clicker working? Her clicker isn't working.
Okay, Kathy, it looks like we have 87 responses, so just let me know when you want to close the question.
Okay, has everyone here voted? It looks like, has everybody voted at the other locations?
I think we're ready.
Okay, go ahead and close. All right, 81 yes, 2 no, and 4 abstain. All right, now let's go back to, so those courses passed. Now let's go back to the CAPs, 120, 220, 240, 260, 310, 315, 320, 325, 330, 340, 342, 400, 420, 440, and 484. Mary Burleson, are you the one that brought the request forward? Could you speak to that?
Yes. Basically, these classes are part of a degree program that we have not really had the opportunity to fully respond to. And we're in the middle of an ongoing discussion about that degree program. And so I guess I don't really understand why the courses would be going up for approval before we even know if they're going to be taught. I'm just sort of moderately confused by that, and so I wanted to stop the process and find out what was going on.
Okay. Caroline, can you help us with any information on those courses? I know that CAPC doesn't necessarily approve them, but you may have some insights.
No, I don't have any information at this time. We haven't seen the proposals yet, so I don't have any response that could be helpful.
Okay. Is Deborah Clark at the Tempe campus? Could she speak to some of these courses? Or any other administrator?
Dean Dwayne Rowan is coming forward, Kathy.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Rowan. I'm the Dean of the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts. If I could respond to the objection that we just heard, we requested impact statements for the degree proposal, and we received a fairly substantial and lengthy impact statement from the new college at the West Campus, and that was a week or two ago, and then we have responded to that impact statement. There were some questions about the degree. Those questions included such things as, will this be offered online? And the answer to that is absolutely positively not. This is designed to help build enrollment at the Polytechnic campus. As you know, President Crow has requested that we build that enrollment by 20% per year. So one of our strategies for doing that is adding degree programs that we think will attract students to the campus, not online. Another question that came up in that impact statement was whether this was preparing students to enter the job market directly, and the answer to that question is no. This degree is preparing students for graduate programs in counseling and counseling psychology. There are no certification programs for people who have only the bachelor's degrees. I'll be happy to respond to any other questions that people have.
Go ahead.
As far as I know, there's there's a response to your response that has been submitted. Oh, not yet submitted. So I think there's some discussion going on at higher level that you're involved in. So that's not quite over. Is that not true?
Yeah. Yes, I've been exchanging email with the Associate Dean of New College, and he has sent to us a series of questions, and we've responded to all those questions.
So we're just like to continue the discussion prior to any decision being made, since we're not finished. Does that not make sense?
I'm not certain whether we're finished. I assume we're finished because we've responded to all the questions that we've received from Todd Sandgren. Sandgren, the the Associate Dean.
Yeah, there's another response that is coming. I guess I thought you already had it.
Todd has sent me 3 or 4 questions, I believe, that we've responded to in the last week.
There's still something coming your way.
I'm unaware of anything that might be coming our way.
Well, I'm telling you it's coming.
I've got a point of order.
Yes?
Do we have a motion on the table related to these classes?
No, not yet. I was just asking for some discussion, and thank you for that parliamentary placement. So the motion could Caroline, let's see, I guess this is my job. If you could, Chuck, help me with a motion for us to then discuss before voting.
I think Mary, as the questioner, needs to present a motion to consider for the body here.
All right. Mary, can you craft a motion for the body?
Question, there's some conversation going on here and I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
We are asking you to present a motion on these courses to the body for us to vote on.
Oh, okay. You want to craft it together?
Well,
please.
This is Chuck here.
I move that we delay voting on these CAP courses, all 15 of them, until the discussion about this degree program is reached a satisfactory conclusion are all the people who are going to be experiencing the impact of that discussion. Is that too elaborate?
Chuck, can you help us there? Did you get all that for a motion?
I think
And I'll ask my
it
parliamentarian
needs-
to help with
yeah.
point of order too.
The motion needs a second, and then you need to discuss the motion, right?
I'll second the motion.
Who is that? Please identify yourself. Second.
I second the motion.
Did you get the name?
Yeah, me, Alejandra.
Okay.
Yes, with the microphone.
Okay, before we, okay.
Second for
Now,
discussion.
now we can have discussion, and thank you for the point of order. Any further discussion at Tempe? Looks like someone's coming.
This is Dave Wells from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts. Could you explain what the consequence for Duane Public Recs explained the consequence if we wait a month, whether this would affect the ability of the degree program to be implemented for the next academic year?
Dr. Rowan, do you have an answer to that?
I think someone from CAPC probably needs to respond to that question.
Okay.
Since the proposals are not yet coming to CAPC, I don't think delaying a month will affect implementing the proposals.
Caroline, you're saying the proposal for the program has not come to CAPC, is that correct?
Correct. The proposals for the program have not yet come to CAPC, so the soonest that we would be able to discuss them would be not this meeting, but the following meeting. And the first time that they would appear at the Senate, the proposals at the Senate would be the November 28th meeting. So I don't think it would be a delay to the program to also consider the courses at the same time at that Senate meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the case in terms of implementing.
Okay. Do we have any other comments from any of the campuses regarding this motion? And we'll have to have it read again so that we understand what we're voting on. Would you please break in if you have any other comments?
Paul Miller on the West Campus. I've been involved in responding on the impact statement. There's a second impact statement we discussed with our Associate Dean, Todd Sandrin, and that will be forthcoming. The discussion concerns the role of the degree program in these courses, as well as the BA and BS in psychology, and its impact on students in the psychology programs across both campuses, or all ASU campuses actually, which is why we're asking for time to discuss in more detail the nature of these courses and the CAP program itself.
Thank you. Any other comments from any other campus? Please move to a mic out at Tempe or break in if you're at the other campuses.
We have a question here.
Okay, go ahead.
Heidi?
This is Heidi McElraith at the Polytechnic campus. If the program is not approved yet, if we approve the courses, but the program never gets approved, what is the harm of the approved courses?
I am not sure. I don't know that I can answer that. Dr. Rowan, as an administrator, can you answer that question?
Well, just to be clear with everybody, if the courses are approved but no degree is approved, courses still could be offered.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions from any other campus?
A point of parliamentary inquiry.
Point of order, yes.
Is the motion to postpone indefinitely or postpone to a time certain at the November meeting of the Senate?
Go ahead. Mary, would you read the motion?
I would be willing to amend that to move to wait until the next Senate meeting rather than until we're all happy.
Okay. Could, parliamentarian, can you help us? Do we need to have a vote on the amendment or a vote on the motion first? Help me with the point of order, please.
If there's an amendment, then we need to vote first on the amendment that we're adding to the motion.
Okay.
If all
All
we're
right.
doing is moving to delay this, then that's different.
So let me read what I have. This is Chuck. I'm understanding the motion is to table these CAP courses until the November Senate meeting so that further review can occur.
Postpone, not table.
Postpone. I'll change it to postpone.
That's for me. And it works for me.
Is that appropriate, Mary? The language there? Is that satisfactory for you?
Yes, ma'am, it certainly is. Thank you.
Chuck, would you please read it one more time?
The question will read, do you approve postponing these CAP courses until the November Senate meeting so that further review can occur? And then I've listed the courses 120 ending in number 484.
Okay. Are we ready for a vote? Somebody asked for a question.
Call the question.
Call the question. Okay. Chuck, whenever you're ready, we'll have it on the screen.
Okay, 1 second. And I apologize, the font's going to be small. I can't, on this computer, control that on the fly.
All right, so I guess vote means yes to delay. A no vote means no, do not delay. Okay? Looks like we have enough then. What's the number?
Okay, it looks like we have 77 votes so far, Kathy.
That might, the most we've had were 81, so it could be with attrition with some people leaving.
Just
Does
let me know
anyone
when you
need
want
more
me to-
time? Break in if you need more time, or wave big.
We have one at
That's
Tempe
fine.
we're waiting on.
Okay.
They're working on it, hang on. It looks like it registered. Pam, are you guys done? No? Stand by, please. Okay, you want me to close the question?
Okay. Questions closed. All right. It looks like with 67 yes, 11 no, and 5 abstaining, that the motion has passed. Motion carried. Okay, thank you. We're ready now for the CAPC consent agenda. Carolyn Harrison, if you would now present the following CAPC motions for Senate approval.
I Under old business, I'm presenting the motions listed under section B as a consent agenda. First, ask if there is anything that anyone would like to remove. I'll start with downtown. Are there any proposals you would like to remove from the consent agenda?
It looks like none. Thank you.
West Campus?
Hold on. Sorry, I had problems with the mic. None.
Poly Campus?
No, we don't.
Tempe Campus, anything to remove from the consent agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda? And is there a second?
Could you please identify the people so we can have the notes, please?
Arnie Maltz moved. Bob McPhee, second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And go ahead and call the vote.
Okay, Kathy, let me know when you want me to close the question. The voting stopped.
If anybody needs more time, please either break in or wave big at Tempe. I think everybody's okay, Chuck.
Consent agenda is passed. Thank you.
Okay, great. You got the numbers. Okay. All right, thank you. We're now ready for committee reports. Our committees have been working pretty long and hard on a lot of issues that have come up before the Senate this year. The first one is from Daniel McCarville on academic integrity implementation.
Kathy, I don't see Daniel here at Tempe.
Okay. I don't know whether he got the word on that. Let's move on to the next one. Helene Osipov on Open Access Task Force.
Yes, the Open Access Task Force has met several times. We've looked at different policies at different universities, which was a really interesting exercise. We've started hammering out a policy, and we've also started hammering out implementation procedures. We're still hammering, but we're making good progress, and hopefully we'll have something in the next couple of months.
Thank you. Thank you, Helene. Shirley Rose, could you give us an update on the Constitution and Bylaws Review Task Force?
The Constitution and Bylaws Review Task Force work is ongoing this fall and into spring, and we hope to have some changes to bring. If anyone has suggested revisions, additions, deletions to the Constitution and bylaws, please let me know, and I will bring that to the committee for review.
Thank you. Becky Ladd has a report for the University Services and Facilities Committee.
We've met again, so we've had 2 meetings now. We're working on 2 requests for consultations, one about safety of pedestrians while walking with longboarders, and another one about emergency evacuation procedures. We've also created 4 subcommittees to investigate and follow up on some issues that were raised with the survey last year. So we'll be having monthly reports starting in January. Thanks.
Thank you, Becky. And Research and Creative Activities Committee, Greg Stone.
Hi, a couple of points. We've formed a subcommittee to look at the state of affairs with high-performance computing at ASU. Arnie Maltz is going to be heading that subcommittee, so if you have any issues or questions relating to it, please talk to Arnie. Second point is that last year we sent a motion to the provost concerning laboratory safety. He did not approve that motion, but the OCAD has formed a committee to oversee laboratory safety, and we'll be talking later when we hear from them about their proposed changes to the RSP related to that. So we'll probably look at that in January.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. Devaney Lucer from Library Liaison Committee gave me a written report, and I'm just going to give a few of the highlights. As you may know, the Hayden Library is poised for a major renovation dependent on securing funding. The Library Liaison Committee has been receiving regular reports from ASU Libraries Director Jim O'Donnell about the process and ongoing plans, and the committee raises questions and concerns with him as they go along. The vision for the library is three-pronged. It will be a place for books, a place for people, and a place where people encounter new technologies. The architectural firm, which is Snow Hetta, and it's a Scandinavian firm, and they have done a North Carolina State's Library, and in her report, which will be posted for the senators, there is a YouTube link to the process that they have done in their library, and it's absolutely beautiful. Plans are underway to close the tower in Tempe by summer of 2017, with a reopening slated for the fall of 2019. With movement of materials out of Hayden Library to prepare for the renovation, the government documents are being transferred to ASU West, and books are being moved to high-density shelving, but it's my understanding that services during this time will not be diminished, and that people will be able to get their books. They're even looking at the possibility of overnight staff so that you can have the books immediately from their storage location. If you have any questions regarding the Library Liaison Committee, Devaney Lucer would be more than happy to answer them. The correct spelling of her name is on the Senate website, and Chuck will be posting her report with the link if you want to check it out to the library that this architectural firm did in North Carolina. Okay, I am ready now for open forum, and I'm going to go to Tempe, the Tempe campus first. Is there anyone here for open forum?
Yes, we have someone coming forward at Tempe.
Thank you.
Hello, Peter Vaughan, Department of English. I was contacted by a faculty member who expressed great frustration and concern with the Concur travel reimbursement and request system. And then I went on, and I wanted to know if the faculty senate could do anything about problems with the system. I talked to some colleagues who expressed similar concerns with various aspects of the system. And last week, I raised an issue at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Senate meeting, and that sparked off quite a vocal, spirited response. Apparently, a lot of people have frustrations and concerns with the operation of the travel system. So the question is there anything that the Senate can do to raise this matter to run it? I'm not aware that there's been any kind of review or survey of satisfaction with that system, so perhaps it's something that could be addressed.
Thank you. Peter, did your group have any specific questions?
The group had quite a litany of issues that they had complaints, problems with, ranged from specific components of the system, the inputting, for example, of estimated costs that get calculated automatically but doesn't allow you to change the total if you have a finite budget amount that you're allowed to request, which then requires you to go back and actually so that everything comes out accurately, otherwise the system kicks it back to you. And this ranged all the way from concerns with the system in general, that it did not really effectively work with some of the idiosyncrasies of academic travel concerns, especially for international travel and smaller conferences, things like this, to a suggestion that the system and the policies that inform it are inherently hostile to academics. So I don't know how much of this is the case. These are some of the things that I heard during this discussion.
Could you please forward some of those concerns in writing to me so that we could have them addressed? Full disclosure, Peter told me that he would be bringing this up in open forum, and we couldn't bring the people in at this short a notice. But if I have some definite questions, we'll try to get them at the next Senate meeting.
And perhaps if there are people here in this room who have specific problems they would like to include in there, we can send them on to you.
Yes, yes. I invite those emails.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Baldwin from Economics, and I'm actually raising a question that my students brought to me. They say they're increasingly having trouble accessing Wi-Fi, that they will try numerous times and not be able to access the ASU Wi-Fi system. And I just wondered if the technology services can explain what might be going on and if anything can be done to improve it. I promised them I'd bring them an answer.
If you could get that to me, Marjorie, in writing, I would be more than happy to see who could address those concerns, either through committee or an administrator at the next meeting.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more at Tempe?
No
Elsie, are we finished there?
At Tempe.
Please say that again. No more questions
No
at
more.
Tempe.
Okay. No more
Thank
questions
you.
at Tempe.
Okay, thank you. Let me move to the West Campus. Any questions for open forum?
No, we were just discussing it, but it seems like that at this moment, no, but maybe in the future.
The future as in today or the future as in next month?
Not today. No, as in probably next meeting. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Polytechnic?
We don't have any comments, any questions.
Any questions for open forum? Okay. Downtown? Yes, we have one.
Judy Kreisig, School of Social Work. I'd like to address the issue that we talked about last time, healthcare insurance. And we were told that there was information on the ABOR site, and there is, in terms of the change from 20 hours to 30 hours to become eligible for health benefits. There's really not any discussion of the impact that might have on our staff. It's allowable. We're moving from the ADOA system, but what does that mean for employees? Is that really a good thing for our future employees? It makes it very clear it won't affect existing employees, but what about for future employees? Our school is particularly concerned because our students are not allowed to register their dependents, and students are only allowed to work 20 hours per week. Sometimes now, hiring students as employees, they're allowed to register, then have health benefits for their children and their dependents, and that would rule that out for them. So for us, it's an issue of recruitment of graduate students, as well as just, it seems like not the best policy.
Becky Ladd and Mike Mukwa and I were going to try to get an appointment with Dr. Olson, with Mr. Olson, who manages that area. If you would please get me this in writing. When we get that, we'll try to address this too. And perhaps we will, at some later date, be able to have them here to speak with us about it. Thank you for bringing that up. I would appreciate it in writing, though, so that we have it. Okay? One more round. Anybody else have anything for open forum? I wish to thank Denise Broadman for your help today as a parliamentarian. It really helped to keep me on track and legal, and I really appreciate your being very, very cognizant of what we're doing in the procedures. It really was very helpful to me today. So I want to give a shout out to her for being so careful with our parliamentary procedure. So that we can accommodate, unless I hear anybody breaking in the meantime, so we can accommodate the children of our community who are anxious to begin trick-or-treating today, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Hensley and seconded by Peterson. Do I vote on that one? No. All in favor? And count. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.